Welcome to the Domain Name Wire podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Alleman, and this is episode number 601. Today, I'm going to speak to two end users, two business owners who switched their businesses' domains to .ai domains. One of them started on Somalia's .so domain and quickly realized the limitations of that extension. And the other started on a .com domain, but it was a little too specific. It pigeonholed his business, and so he found a much broader .ai domain to move into. After the news segment, I will be chatting with Felix Ingla and Angeli Angelos, so stay tuned for that. First, a word from our sponsor. Our sponsor this week is Spaceship. Spaceship has a huge catalog of top-level domains at the lowest prices around, such as new .com domains for only $8.88. But with so many domains to choose from, how do you find the best domains to register? Well, Spaceship's Beast Mode is one of my favorite domain search tools. It lets you check up to 5,000 names at any time across multiple top-level domains. You can even check variations like domain hacks and results with prefixes and suffixes. To try Beast Mode, go to spaceship.com, type a search term in the box, and then click on Beast Mode. Again, go to spaceship.com, type in a search term, and hit Beast Mode to check it out. Before we chat with our guests, let's talk about a very busy week in the domain name world. It's the first week in a long time that I've written articles over the weekend because with new top-level domain applications already due, a number of companies are disclosing what they applied for. Last Saturday, I wrote an exclusive about Oinkadot, a company that applied for 25 top-level domain names. This is a partnership between Todd Hahn, who is the founder of Dynadot, and Ray King, the founder of Pork Bun. So they merged kind of their names together there a little bit, Oink for Pork Bun and a dot, kind of a fun name for a company, turned it into Oinkadot and applied for 25 TLDs together. I should note, even though the name pays homage to their registrars, it is unaffiliated. They went after domains like .dragon, .anime, .king. I'm sure Ray.king will be reserved. And there's .wire in there. So maybe someday you'll type in domain name .wire. To see their full list, go to my post from August 15th. Then on Sunday, a new website went live for Endpoint Domains. This is a partnership between Michael Blend, he founded the domain parking company Hotkeys, which he sold to Demand Media, and Josh Jones, co-founder and former CEO of DreamHost. They only revealed 8 domains that they're applying for, and all of the domains they revealed are potentially in contention with Link Freedom Group. You'll recall last Monday, I had Link Freedom Group CEO Vaughn Liley on. So they have other domains, but these are just the ones they revealed. And yes, it appears that 2 applicants are going for the .fart domain name. At least that's what we know so far, Link Freedom Group and Endpoint Domains. Other ones they have in contention with Link Freedom Group are Big, Fab, FTW, Happy, NSFW, so not safe for work, Private, and .true. On Monday, I wrote about 2 more companies and their domains. One is called Suffix Domains, and on their website, suffix.domains, they listed 13 domain names, but they set it up so that it looked like they might have applied for as many as 89 strings. And I think they chose these 13 domains because they also are potentially in contention with Link Freedom Group's domains. Another company, Phoenix Domain Partners, also published 13 strings that it said it applied for and paid the application fees. Some of those are also in contention with Link Freedom Group, including .merch, .connect, .therapy, and .vibe. They have some that don't think will necessarily be applied for by other companies, but we'll have to see. And this is part of the strategy companies took. How can they find a domain that maybe they won't fall into a contention set for? They have .beach, .bbq, .quote. So we'll have to see if anyone else applied for those names. I should mention that both of these companies have founders that have history with new top-level domains. Also on Monday, I came across a website for a company called Journey to the West Corporation. They listed 323 primary and replacement strings, mostly related to China, on their website. They broke it down into a bunch of categories such as what they call flagship domains, including .panda and .dragon, which will be in contention with Oinkadot. Nature and geography, like orchid and plum. Craft and art, so .porcelain and frankly, I can't pronounce some of these other names. Zodiac in creatures, so .zodiac, tiger, rabbit, cuisine, mooncake, hot pot, noodle, so other Chinese-related foods. Boy, the list goes on and on here. There's so many different categories. And notably, they also had dozens of IDNs, Chinese character IDNs. I'm a little bit surprised there. IDNs did not take off last time. So to see a company go after so many is surprising. But here's the thing. I don't know much about the background of this company. The address on its website is actually for the government office in China that handles domain names, overseas domain names. But the site also says it's backed by domain investors and China internet celebrities, which makes me think that address is just a holding address. And the strangest thing is that 6 of the domains it listed as being part of its applications are existing top-level domains, like .fan, .furniture, .silk, .soy, which is one of Google's. So did they really apply for these? Did they put them as replacement strings? Did they not check to see if there were existing top-level domains? Or is something funny going on here? We'll have to see. Another top-level domain applicant I wrote about is called Namespace. And this company is backed by investors in Latin America. It applied for 10 strings, including some that are once again in contention with Link Freedom Group. 5 of their 10 domains have potentially been applied for by Link Freedom Group, although they could also be replacement strings at LFG. Telegram announced that it is applying for .gram, and it envisions this as kind of a URL shortener, handles, and a way to create websites for its billion users. And then there's a .brand application that was announced. Easy Group, which I think their most famous brand is EasyJet, said it is applying for .easy. It does not plan to create sites that replace all of its individual company names, but it says it will complement them. And another exclusive last week, I wrote about Namecheap applying for 40 top-level domain names. They set up a company called Starlight Registry to apply for the domains. And I think they did a really good job picking their strings here. It's definitely tech-forward, names like Mesh, Matrix, Droid, Foundry, but I think they found a number that won't go into contention. The only choice they made that I'm questioning a little bit is .lab as opposed to .labs. I've found that most companies that are starting to use the lab term are going with the plural. That said, lab is a 3-letter, and 3-letter domains are generally favorable. They will go into contention with LFG's .labs because this time around, you can't have singular and plural top-level domains. Only one can win. And finally, one more to mention, Brian Harbin. He runs Grit Brokerage, and he has applied for .grit. You can read that story on August 20th. Now, the application date has passed, but ICANN hasn't revealed all of the applications. And the guidebook says that you can't avoid auctions by having, say, your own private auctions like last time or entering into joint ventures. But the way I read the applicant guidebook, it's a little fuzzy on if that rule goes into effect before reveal day. It hinges on when these names are technically in contention. I asked ICANN to answer the question, can companies work on deals now before reveal day? And the answer I got, I don't think will satisfy a lot of people. They said, quote, ICANN cannot provide advice or interpretations for specific situations or requests. The applicant guidebook prohibits private resolution of contention sets. Accordingly, private auctions, joint ventures, and any resolution methods designed to resolve contention privately are strictly prohibited. But it also says contention sets don't really start until reveal day. And I find this answer to be a little bit wishy-washy. They could just come out and say, no, you can't. You can talk to people, but you can't do anything, even though it's before reveal day. Kind of reminds me of talking to the IRS. If you ask them how to account for your domain investor domain sales, they're not going to give you a straight answer. They're basically going to say, we're not going to tell you, and we might come after you later. I think ICANN is really pushing a problem down the road here. I can definitely foresee some applications being stalled over allegations of companies working together. All right, for the rest of the news from last week, go check out domainnamewire.com. But now, let's chat with our first guest. I'm chatting with Felix Ingla of Pedra. Felix, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So, Felix, first of all, what is Pedra?
All right. So Pedra is an AI visual marketing platform for real estate. And it's a place where all realtors can basically create all the materials for their listings. That means improving their photos, staging the photos of their properties, creating videos, virtual tours, social media content, and so on.
Okay, so this goes beyond just virtual staging, but for those that aren't familiar, this is the idea of, you have a picture of a room and you want to make it look better, so you put the furniture in it and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So you started your business at Pedra.so. First of all, how did you come up with the name Pedra?
All right. So Pedra is basically the Catalan word for stone. Okay. Catalan is the language of Catalonia, which is a region in Spain. Barcelona is the capital. And I picked that word because stone is one of the basic materials to build houses. And we wanted to build like a basic tool for people to sell houses. So we kind of made that play. It doesn't translate well internationally, but it's short and that makes it like brandable and easy to use.
Yeah, it's easy to spell. And as you mentioned, even though it doesn't translate, it's not like your domain was real estate tools in Catalonia, and then that doesn't translate at all to anyone elsewhere. So it's a nice short name. But you went with Pedra.so at first. And I'm curious, did you know when you registered that domain that it was the country code for Somalia?
No, so I didn't know. I really liked the name, and I wanted to register the domain for it, but .com wasn't available, and I couldn't even track the owner. And this was a bootstrap project, so like actually like tracking the owner with like a budget and so on to buy the domain was just not like a feasible option. There was no real budget for this. So I picked .so because some like famous software companies like Notion, which is like a productivity software, was using it. So I said, okay, if they're using it, I might as well use it. Like it must be a normal thing to do. So I picked that because it was also very cheap. It was like 60 euros a year. So that was fine. So I started the project off with that.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you say that because the same thing happened. There was Bitly back in the day and all these ones ending in LY, and .ly is Libya's namespace country code, which is also another country that's not particularly stable. So I'm curious what happened. Like you start using Pedra.so. Did you run into any issues using a .so domain?
Yeah, so for starters, it was hard to rank, and we relied a lot of our growth on organic channels like SEO. And the thing that our domain ended on .so was not helping because Google and other website search engines were thinking that this was like a Somalian website. And therefore, they were not showing this website to users in other countries who might be interested in, I don't know, staging online services or video services for properties. So that was the main problem. Google thinking that this was like a Somalian website and it should only be showed to Somalian people. Then another issue that we found was that some email servers were not really happy about the .so. Like they were thinking that this was not a righteous domain or like a fair domain, and the domain was activating firewalls, if that's the right way to say it, in some companies. So when I was emailing like big companies to offer the services and so on, some emails wouldn't get there. So these were the main problems. And also, like people were very confused about the data. I had so many questions about it when I was doing demos in the first year. People were like, okay, what does .so mean? And I would have to explain what it meant, and why we put that name and so on. It was just not a helpful resource.
Yeah. And then as soon as they hear Somalia, they're like, wait a minute. So you made the decision to switch domains. Tell me what you chose to go with.
Yeah. So initially I wanted to go with .com, but the budget wasn't there yet. I made some investigations and I think the price would have gone between 50K cheapest to up to like $500,000, because also Pedra means stone in Portuguese, and that's like a huge market in Brazil and Portugal combined. So for like such a simple word or .com in like such a popular language like Portuguese, it would have cost a fortune and it just wouldn't justify the price. So I debated between getpedra.com and Pedra.ai. And since the product grew into the direction of .ai, I thought it would be like the best path even though getpedra.com was available already and I could have bought it for like a very cheap price. But instead I went for the Pedra.ai because it was more aligned with the product we're building. Also Get Pedra sounds fantastic in English, but most of our customers are in Germany and Spain and then US. But the first two markets maybe would have been a bit confused about the Get. So that's why we didn't go that route, even though the domain was available.
Interesting. Yeah, because get, use, try, all of these things are common prefixes, but I understand what you're saying here. Outside of English markets, that could add more confusion to it.
Yeah.
So the .ai domain name, .ai is very popular right now also. When did you acquire the name?
So I bought it in August 2025.
Okay.
And it was a one-time aftermarket buy because normally at .ai, even though it's very popular, it goes around $400, but I had to pay like around $2,000 for that.
Okay. Not horrible though. I mean, from an investment standpoint, the fact that now when you're on calls, you actually have a signal in your domain that's actually positive toward what you do rather than what is thought so. Have you noticed some differences here after you've adopted this name?
Yeah, like way easier to rank the domain and also like for search results in AI. It's hard to like attribute it directly because you don't have like the underlying algorithm visible to you. But yeah, there was like a ramp in a lot of the search engines. Yeah.
And on those phone calls too, those initial phone calls now, it's probably a lot easier because you don't have this hurdle to get over.
Exactly. So I stopped getting those questions about the .so and people just get it immediately what .ai means. Like I haven't gotten a single question, which is good.
Tell me about how the business is going here. So when did you found this?
So the projects, the first line of code was done in, if I remember correctly, let me check 1 second because I want to be factual. Yeah, it was like May 2023 when I wrote the first line of code. First, it was like a floor plan drawing tool for like everyone, which was terrible to market. No one wanted to buy that. Made the first sale in January 2024 and then incorporated the company in May 2024.
Okay. And what's your trajectory like? You have some big name brands and real estate agents, it seems, at this point.
Yeah, so the growth has been quite linear and predictable. It hasn't been like no hockey stick for me, which can feel a bit boring, but it's good because it's growing, it's predictable, it's bootstrapped, it's profitable, and we're kind of riding that AI wave on the real estate structure.
Excellent. Well, for those listening, Pedra.ai, that's Pedra.ai. Pretty cool stuff for real estate agents, so go check that out. And Felix, thanks for coming on the show and chatting with us about your domain change.
All right. Thank you, Andrew.
All right, that's a cool story. Go check out Pedra.ai. That's Pedra.ai. Now, let's chat with Angeli Angelos of Swipe. I'm speaking with Angeli Angelos. He is the co-founder and CEO of Swipe. Angeli, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Andrew, for having me. Really appreciate us discussing Swipe.
Yeah. So first of all, tell me, what is Swipe?
So swipe.ai is a package protection post-purchase solution for Shopify merchants. If an order gets lost, stolen, even damaged in transit, we cover it. So the merchant stops really eating the cost of reshipping, and instead they're protecting the line item that really would cost them money. So it becomes revenue that actually gets paid to them. So we work on an insurance model, and we actually market ourselves when I'm talking to a lot of Shopify merchants. We're your most profitable app, and it costs the merchant $0 because package protection really is a front door thing. It's not the whole house. So we're building an AI layer for the entire checkout experience. Protection was really the first product when we were thinking about Checkout Plus, and we've been building an AI layer. So it's awesome that we were able to get the .ai extension because it's really a clear path for us. Because with every merchant having serious volume, they're losing money. Every merchant is losing money to packages going lost, stolen, or even porch pirates. I was just talking to a merchant. They sell sports cards online, and he was telling me, I was working with a competitor of yours and they weren't protecting against porch pirates. I was like, oh my gosh, we love protecting against porch pirates. And most of the merchants just absorb it quietly. I think it's great that we have a solution for Swipe and building Swipe AI, all on the whole notion of getting paid with no minimums.
I think I've seen this when I've checked out at websites. Let's say I'm buying something for, I don't know, $20. It might say, pay an extra 80 cents to protect your package. And then that gets added on to my cost. So that doesn't cost the merchant anything. They're usually passing that through to someone like Swipe, right?
Correct. So
Okay.
typically on the traditional model, the customer is opting in. And there has been some legal things that have happened recently in the space where Shopify has changed the way that the checkout process works. So you always compliantly have to get that opt-in. The customer cannot be automatically enrolled. And that's a big thing that we focus on at Swipe AI is being compliant for all of our merchants and our solution that we're rolling out. So it's a small little checkout extension. It's a lightweight widget, and it really is optional for the customer. But we've seen across all of our merchants over a 60% opt-in rate. I know
Really?
it sounds crazy, Andrew, but 60% of customers purchase Swipe.
I'm glad to hear that they now require the opt-in because I did buy it once without knowing I bought it. And then I saw the line item on the receipt I got, and I was like, wait a minute. And I felt tricked. So I'm glad to hear that with your solution and with Shopify now, that's how it works, that it's on an opt-in basis.
Always. Swipe, we're always super compliant. We love the opt-in. We actually were one of the first to market providing the solution to have Checkout Plus with our opt-in.
Okay. So tell me, did you originally launch on a different name?
We did. It's actually a funny story because we were thinking when we first came to market, yes, Checkout Plus is our technology, but what will we call our package protection business? So we were like, okay, post office, maybe post protect. What happens when, the box leaves? We're protecting post. That was describing a feature that we already outgrown. We ended up in this position where the name is actively arguing against our roadmap. So every conversation really started with the customer's assumption about what we do. And then we're spending the first 10 minutes correcting it while we're also building out our full Checkout Plus product. And I think that was a great segue to having Swipe not boxing us in. And Swipe with Checkout Plus is really the moment of purchase. That's the territory we want. And that was big enough for us to build and think decades long, not just on a post-purchase level.
Yeah, I mean, this is a trap that a lot of entrepreneurs fall into. Post Protect is a great name for the feature you were describing, but it also limits you. You mentioned you have looking at your site, Sports Card Zone is one of your clients, right? If they were Baseball Card Zone, and then they want to sell football and hockey and soccer and all that sort of stuff, it kind of goes against the name. It pigeonholes them. So very, very common.
Yeah. And postprotect.com was a great .com. I love the domain, but it's nice to now transition and fully move to swipe.ai.
Yeah. So tell me how this process worked. Did you come up with the name Swipe and then looked for it? Or what did you do?
Yeah. So Andrew, it's a funny story because I'm going to just paint the scene. It was 3 a.m. at a hotel room in New York. I'm concepting with my friend Danilo because we were marketers and we were in New York for a conference. And we're just talking now, okay, what's our roadmap look like for Post Protect? And I was like, we got to change the name. And he's a good friend. And he just randomly threw out Swipe. And it actually really landed. One word. I like the exact motion when you're buying something, you're swiping your credit card in a traditional physical brick and mortar world. And it's not talking about an entire, experience. But I think when you think about the card, the checkout button, Swipe just worked. And the best part about what happened after Danilo mentioned it, I immediately just went to swipe.ai and found a lander to purchase the domain. And the brokerage we used and the house we used, it's Adam. They were great to work with. Honestly, it was so seamless. We got access to the domain pretty quickly. It was awesome. And now Danilo's actually a Swipe client.
No, nice.
The guy who named the company is now running it on his own store. You really can't script that.
So you mentioned AI a lot at the beginning of this call, and you're obviously using a .ai. When I look at your website, I don't really see mention of artificial intelligence. And so I'm curious, was having .ai important to you? You had a .com before. What were your thoughts around that?
Yeah, so I love the .ai because it's the truth, and we're not following a trend. We're building AI protection tools for the e-commerce checkout, for our product Checkout Plus. And that extension isn't just a decoration on the name because, everyone's thinking AI is trending. It's really the second half of the sentence. And Swipe AI really reads as what we actually do. There's a practical side because the one word like swipe.com was never realistically on the table. And I'd rather own a clean, exact one word name with the extension that describes the category than settle for like a hyphenated or a padded.com that says nothing. And going back to your point about our AI tools, a lot of it's on our back end, on our dashboard, where we're building our fraud prevention because in this space we're in, there's a lot of friendly fraud. When someone figures out, okay, I can protect or I can purchase something and just say it's lost, stolen, or damaged, there's a lot of friendly fraud that occurs once they get their first payout. So it's super important that our AI system, every single day, it's learning on every single order, on every single checkout, we're capturing data points.
I've never heard that term. What was that? Friendly fraud?
Friendly fraud.
What
Yes.
does that mean?
So friendly fraud is when a consumer knows that they can game the system. They're doing fraud, but it's friendly fraud.
Okay.
It's a common phrase in the world.
Okay. Yeah. I just never heard the term before. So interesting. But I mean, .ai domains generally aren't cheap either.
No, it wasn't cheap, but we were bootstrapping the entire business and Adam had a great feature where they were allowing us to actually pay in installments. So we broke it out monthly. It was a pretty hefty price for the .ai.
Are you still paying it off? Are you on?
No, we completed that a while back, but it's been great. And we're actually I'm going to extend the name for 10 years or as long as I can.
Sure. Yeah. Renewal. So the Adam feature you're talking about, a lot of people refer to it as lease-to-own, and the sellers can kind of set the maximum terms they have, and then you can, of course, do it over fewer months, that sort of thing. Did you end up paying it off over the amount of months you selected at first, or did you end up paying it off early?
We paid it off just on the plan, the set plan. Yeah. It was great, honestly, as an entrepreneur that was bootstrapping the entire business. It was great not having to pay the full lump sum. So I really thank the team at Adam, and it was just such a smooth process.
Do you think you still would have bought the domain had that not been an option, that payment
I don't
plan?
think so.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we would have just continued running post-protect and eventually branched off into something else.
Yeah. Well, tell me about the momentum you have now. You've got this great domain, swipe.ai. Has it helped you? Can you tell that having that versus post-protect has already helped you?
Yeah, so the rebrand actually did something I didn't expect. It shortened the sales conversation because with post-protect, we're always spending the first 10 minutes explaining what we're becoming. How are we going to get away from the just traditional package protection? But with swipe.ai, it's actually when we hop on discovery calls, people actually lean in forward and they're like, okay, what is this? It's that one word unlock really earns us the meeting. It really allows us to be bigger than we are. And it's honestly, I think it's been game changer. And it allows us really to have such clean branding across all of our pitch decks, on our video content. I'm so happy with where we landed. And our business has been just growing month over month. We're delivering happiness on every single order for all of our merchants. We're just so thankful and blessed to be a part of the checkout experience.
Yeah, it sounds like you're saying that the one word .ai kind of lends an instant air of credibility when you're talking to people.
It does, Andrew. Yes. You're so right.
It's interesting because people in my space have known us about a good oneword.com for a long time. But of course, .ai has been exploding in importance and popularity in recent years. So it's kind of interesting to hear that from someone who bought a oneword.ai, that you feel like you have that credibility, that instant credibility factor. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. And I still had this convo actually like 8 months ago where we're like talking .com.ai. And I was like, After a while of owning the .ai, I really started to let go of the .com as the only credible domain. I really believe now that these domain extensions, especially .ai, is super credible.
Yeah. Do you ever run into people who are like trying to email you at swipe.com and it's bouncing or anything like that?
It's interesting because when I'm on the phone on like a cold call and I'm like, oh, go to our website, swipe.ai, they're typing in swipe.ai.com.
So they're going to ai.com.
It's interesting. I think it's just going to be something that traditional consumers have to get used to. But in my network, I've had no problems.
If they go there, they're going to a domain that sold for, I think it was 70 million, something crazy like that.
It's funny, that domain, I saw it on the Super Bowl commercial. Went to it, but it crashed.
Yeah, I don't even know if the guy's launched it yet. I'm like, yeah, okay, 70 million plus a Super Bowl commercial, and he's just kind of getting the site out there. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
But good. Well, this is great. Congrats on the good domain. And everyone who wants to check this out, if you have a Shopify store, go to swipe.ai, or I imagine with Shopify, there's like a marketplace, that sort of thing.
There's an app marketplace, but if you'd like to just get a full demo, we'd love to do it. It costs you $0. You can reach out to Swipe at swipe.ai and we'll take care of you hands-on.
All right. Thanks, Angeli.
Thanks so much, Andrew. Take care now.
Thanks to both of my guests today for coming on and talking about their domain transitions and what led to their name choices and how they acquired those new domain names. That's a wrap on this week's Domain Name Wire podcast. You can listen to all previous episodes at dnw.com/podcast or on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening.